Hello and welcome back to Intoxicus Flanging. My name's Graham, and as always, I hope you all remember to bring a towel. And also, I hope you remember to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications. That way you can stay up to date on all this great and constantly improving content from me and my kitties, which just happen to not be here today. But back, or onto the actual topic, I should say, which is Pokemon Unite and the way they're doing these game reveal announcements is questionable and could definitely be improved in a lot of ways. And it just adds to this corporate disconnect thing I have already talked about and will continue to talk about at the end, because I don't have cards till I hit that 1,000 subscribers threshold and all that. I can't do a card, so you guys can link now, but I will link to the previous video about disconnect and all that, more concerning Star Wars Squadrons at the end of the video. Anyways, let us get on to the actual topic here. So the Pokemon Unite announcement, that it's another case. It was like Star Wars Squadron, at least to me it was like with Star Wars Squadron, where they kind of hype this thing up, then what they show us is kind of like underwhelming compared to the hype, and then it's like, well, why didn't you guys just do it all at once? And I'm getting the same kind of feeling. So with the announcement, they did this like other Pokemon announcement thing where Pokemon Smile and stuff like that was announced, and then they hyped up this like other thing that was like its own standalone announcement, and people were thinking, oh, this might be like a Let's Go, the next Pokemon, but Let's Go kind of flange, so another Pokemon remake in Let's Go style or something like that. And we got a Pokemon MOBA called Pokemon Unite, and yeah, a lot of people found that somewhat underwhelming, understandably so. And yeah, it's a similar kind of thing. A lot of people are saying you guys should have announced this all together at once. This wasn't really worth its own standalone announcement. And I would tend to agree. Pokemon Unite itself is interesting. I am interested in playing it and checking it out and all that good stuff. But does it really warrant a big hyped up standalone announcement? No, I don't think so. I think this all could have been done together. We will skip ahead here. If I can get the right frickin' hotkeys. Yeah, this probably wouldn't have gotten nowhere near the amount of hate it does if they would have just combined it with last week's announcement instead of hyping it up as its own announcement. I completely agree. I think there's a reason that's the #1 comment, and yeah, oops. I don't know what buttons I'm. So yeah, let's just run the video. So we'll just run the announcement trailer while I'm talking. So yeah, like I really feel like this really should have just been part of the previous announcement thing, which in itself was a bit underwhelming. It would have helped made that previous announcement better, and it really leaves me puzzled how they don't understand this stuff. Like, they pay all these marketing people and PR people and all these people that are supposed to be experts at this stuff, but people like just at our level are sitting here being like, well, it's obvious what you guys should have actually done that would have been more effective. That shouldn't be happening. Just people at our level shouldn't be able to out-flange the marketing people putting this stuff together and strategizing this stuff. There's a serious problem with corporate disconnect. Same thing with the Star Wars Squadron announcement. That all should have been one announcement in one day. Because of Star Wars and the kind of associations it had, people's hype mostly got past that because they're just like, oh my god, Star Wars and we're flying ships and it's going to be cool, without really considering stuff like the previous history with Battlefront and that kind of stuff. So I found that interesting that people weren't more like, oh, why didn't you guys give us the gameplay on day one instead of this like trailer that really didn't tell us anything we didn't, that wasn't obviously going to be expected from something like Star Wars Squadron. The trailer for Star Wars Squadron told us nothing. It really told us nothing other than 5v5. And there's no gameplay. All of this Star Wars Squadron stuff should have been in at the same time in one day, hype that up huge, and it became more of a confusing clusterfuck of like, wait, where do I even find the info? You didn't clearly tell me where to find more info. Just tell us everything all at once on the same day. Don't split it up. Don't break it up. Don't be fucking weird and annoying like this. Give us all the info at once. Hype that up. Don't do this like what Pokemon Unite's done here or what Star Wars Squadron has done. Bad. Don't do it. Even if it's worked out, it's could have been more effective and worked better if they had put it all together in one instead of spreading it out. Which just I don't get why they're doing this. It doesn't make sense to me. And it seems like without E3 to kind of give them a structure to hang on to, they're kind of at a loss now. Because at E3, you had your like one big presentation, you did all your things because you had your time slot, and now just because there's no more E3 doesn't mean just spread and scatter these things in a confusing and unproductive manner. Anyway, so. I also want to talk about Pokemon Unite itself a little bit, and also its connection with Tencent. I'm kind of not surprised that Tencent's making this, or kind of the experts in this, and people have been saying this is really a game intended for the Chinese audience to bring them into Pokemon and tap into that market, which all signs seems to point towards that direction. As a MOBA game, it might be interesting, it might be good. I'm kind of curious to play it and check it out and see what it's like. But I question how successful this will be in North America. It could blow up in China, but a lot of people have been already saying this is probably going to be, another one of those Nintendo mobile games that gets hype at first, the investors, get crazed over it and stock goes up, but the actual game doesn't really go anywhere. And that's very high percentage for Pokemon Unite to go that direction, where even though it does have potential as a game, just looking at it and all that, just the way they're marketing it, the way they're hyping it, at least for North American audiences, isn't going to be very effective. And I question how much Chinese gamer audiences will be into it. I don't know how big Pokemon is or isn't in China. So there might be an obstacle where, they might not be big into Pokemon. They might, their culture might not be compatible with what Pokemon has to offer. And that's not anything. It's just different cultures have different values and, different flanges and, all that stuff. So some cultures just, don't resonate with stuff like Pokemon as strongly, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just totally how people work. But there might be a cultural obstacle for Pokemon as a franchise to even get into China. I don't know enough about it. I'm more throwing out speculation and hypotheticals and just kind of questioning things. And I've never heard of Pokemon being big in China. Maybe it is, and it's just not something I'm aware of. But I'm kind of like, this kind of seems like one of those more corporate disconnect things where, they make it look good on paper, but then in reality, it becomes more questionable than as good as they make it look on paper. And the way they're able to make it look so good on paper is because they don't, they're kind of disconnected from reality and disconnected from us. So they don't understand how they're like paper flanging about this to their investors and all that is actually out of sync with reality and actually doesn't flange in real life. And there's just, almost all of Nintendo's mobile games are this kind of thing. Very few of them have been widespread successful beyond Pokemon Go, which in itself was very unique and had something very unique to offer. And aside from that, I can't think of a Pokemon, just Nintendo mobile game in general that's been really huge, blown up like Pokemon Go. And I think they've been trying to chase what Pokemon Go does, and this is a Nintendo Switch and mobile game with Pokemon Unite. I think they're trying to chase what Pokemon Go has been able to accomplish, and I think that's an inherently flawed premise. You're not going to be able to replicate Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is super unique, and it's going to be hard to replicate that. Don't try and replicate that. Just make games that you're actually passionate about. And that's the thing. These mobile games, I question how many people are like really passionate about developing and making these games. Maybe they are more than I believe, but I can't help but question, how passionate is someone going to be about Pokemon Smile? And Pokemon Smile is a great idea for kids and even adults on the spectrum that have sensory issues. with brushing their teeth, like, but it's not going to be a big blow up thing like Pokemon Go. It's just not going to be. It's going to be a more practically useful thing. It's more of a, odd to say it, but it's almost more of a social contribution in Pokemon Smile, in, helping kids and potentially also autistic adults improve at oral hygiene. So, there's a different aspect with Pokemon Smile where it's actually beneficial to people very directly in real life, potentially. Unlike games which are just entertainment and don't make, have a more tangible real life benefit. Although my phrasing is a bit off there, because you do get, you can get tangible real life benefits from gaming and games, and there are skills that cross over to real life. So don't get me wrong, my phrasing's a little bit imperfect there. But just looking at the gameplay, it actually looks like a decently interesting MOBA. Like, I played a decent amount of Dota 2 back in the day, never got very good at it. And just, yeah, I'd like to get back into it, but just I got too much going on for something like Dota 2. Although, yeah, I never got into any other MOBAs besides Dota 2. But, Pokemon Unite as a game, from what we're looking at, looks like it has potential as a game, but with the mobile focus also makes me question it. There should maybe be a PC and console release with better graphics, maybe. And the whole mobile focus definitely seems to indicate more that it's meant towards the Chinese markets, potentially, or Asian markets. I'm not sure how to phrase that for optimal appropriateness. I want to find balance with such things. Anyways, so it's just, it brings a lot of questions to me about, is this viable? Is this a good idea? And more so, like, just trying to tie the two subtopics in this topic together. The whole corporate disconnect thing, not in just how they announce this, but how they're going about the game itself, that they're even doing this game. There's just various levels of corporate disconnect where I don't think they actually understand their audience. I don't think they actually understand their market. I increasingly am starting to think they're way too disconnected. They're these corporate people running these entities aren't gamers, maybe, as much as they pretend to be, and that's the thing. To sell games to gamers, if the corporate entity is not a gamer, they're probably going to lie about it. So, maybe they are gamers, and maybe they've just, the corporate thing they've been involved in kind of skews their perspective, and that's a very real thing too, where you can go into something with the best in intent and start from legitimate roots, and then just the nature of what you need to do to survive in such an environment, it winds up corrupting people and skewing their perspectives. And it's a long-term thing that happens over time in such a subtle way that people don't notice it until it's too late. And that's a big concern, is that there could be a lot of people that are legitimate gamers from that have legitimate roots, but it's the same thing as a conspiracy of silence, which is maybe needs a better term than conspiracy of silence, because I've used the term conspiracy of silence and people have just been like, oh, he's some conspiracy person. What conspiracy of silence means is it's that thing where everyone's kind of on the same page and they don't really speak about it, but everyone kind of knows. But if you go against that grain, then you're out of there. And then they never say, oh, you're out of there because you're not in line with our fucked up shit. They say you're out of there because you don't match our values, or bullshit like that, where it's like this roundabout way of saying, oh, you're not playing our game that we're not talking about, and actually sometimes going directly against the game that we're all on the same page of but not talking about. That's what a conspiracy of silence is. So there's definitely I would say there's definitely a factor or an aspect of that, but it's not like the complete full thing. God damn, I gotta figure out what the fuck's up with these hotkeys. It seems to be a Windows thing, because the hotkey should have worked there. So I totally lost my train of thought there too now. But yeah, the whole disconnect. Oh yes, conspiracy of silences and how that affects things. So you can wind up with these corporate cultures where you got people from legitimate roots with best intentions, but because they have to play this game to survive in that corporate culture, they wind up slowly getting corrupted. And just to parallel to real life craziness happening a lot of the craziness with police forces and stuff. Like, there's a lot of legitimate good cops that come in with the best of intentions that slowly get corrupted, because to even survive as a cop and, not get fired, they have to play the fucked up games or play along, and then that can slowly corrupt a person. So it's something that's endemic throughout all of human culture and society. I'd say right now it's a problem everywhere. It's very systemic, very endemic. And when it comes to corporate cultures, that's where we get this thing where, we get these people who are like actually are gamers, actually have been gaming a long time, and then they're doing weird, wacky things that it's like all of us that haven't been embroiled in these corporate cultures are like, what the hell is going on here? How do you guys not understand like what actually works, especially when we're all sitting here being like, hey guys, we have answers. If you just do what we're asking for, mostly not that simple though, but if you mostly do more or less what we're asking for, you get more money. I mean, there are, although I do have to say there are points in times where, gamers think they want something, but what they actually want is something else. And it's just, I'd say that's more of an issue with perception and, maybe even just understanding certain details or more technical things or design aspects. So, and in those cases, like, I'd say that's where designers and devs need to look at the values that underlie what people are asking for and try and find out how can we meet that value, but do it in the way that balances everything. And if they went to that, and just in general, if we started going to like, what are the values underlying this? What are the values motivating this? What values are people trying to have fulfilled? What values can we fulfill with this software, game, product, etc.? And I think those kinds of questions and that kind of thinking would change a lot for the better. And it kind of feels like maybe a bit of a pipe dream right now for that to become a big thing. But I think that change is slowly in progress in the bigger picture and in the medium and smaller picture. But anyways, I think it is possible for this corporate disconnect issue to improve, and it'd only be to the benefit of their own profits for it to improve. But just with Pokemon Unite, it just, to me, that seems like just another example of the whole corporate disconnect, not in just how they announce the game and just this whole disconnected, scattered thing where we're like, yo, if you guys had just not like hyped it like it was something bigger than it is, it would have been accepted a lot better. And hell, let's use Anthem as an example. If Anthem hadn't overhyped itself, had communicated better about changes being made, and also had been more upfront, this isn't going to be, don't expect this to be in your finished product necessarily. These kind of communications make a huge difference in accepting changes, accepting things that aren't what people expected, and also communication when it comes to actually setting up proper expectations. And that's another factor to this too, is they're not, and I've mentioned this before, they're not always connected with what expectations they're setting up and how they're setting them up. Like with this whole Pokemon Unite thing, like I don't think they realized what expectations they had unintentionally set by doing this announcement, because when they have this like one thing and then now we get another big announcement a week later, that's got to be something really significant. And then we get Pokemon Unite, it's like, what the hell? And then the thoughts coming to mind, did they really think Pokemon Unite's going to be that big? Because if they actually think it's going to be that big and worth that kind of an announcement and that kind of hype, holy fuck, are they disconnected? Because no, it's not. Even if it's successful and does well, it's no one's going to get that excited for a Pokemon MOBA game, even if it's really good. Because we don't want Pokemon MOBA games. We want Let's Go remakes of all the previous games so we can enjoy them with modernized all sorts of flanging and have all the little weird quirky things fixed up to modern standards. That's what we want. We want our nostalgia with modern intervention, I guess. I don't know. That's the phrasing that came to mind, so I'll stick with it. But we want our old school nostalgia games, but with modern interventions that improves them to a modern level. That's what we want, and that's what they need to deliver. And when they hype something big up like that, that's what we're going to expect, because that's what we want. And also, just to, as we wrap this up, we have to realize too, we need to also check ourselves on our own expectations, and we need to realize these entities don't often give us what they want, so we can't expect them to give us what we want. So when they hype these things up, we have to be a lot more skeptical and question more, and not be like, oh, we're going to get big things. Big things happen. We do get them, but we can't expect them so much as we do. And overall, after saying that though, this is more on the companies than it is us. I don't want to like have that come across like I'm trying to put it on us so much. I mean, we got to own ourselves and our actions and all that good stuff too. I mean, it's just that I'm just trying to be balanced and complete in saying that. But that applies to them even more so. They need to own their actions and the effects of their actions. And all these companies, a lot of them kind of fucking suck at that. A significant portion of these companies and corporate entities really fucking suck at that. And I guess that's a good enough place to end. Already mentioned this subscribing and all that good stuff. That button should be over on that side somewheres. And also, now that we're done, if you like this video, give me a like. If you don't, give me a thumbs down for a dislike. But if you give me that thumbs down, do me a quick favor and give me some constructive feedback and criticism. Please be respectful though. Don't outright insult or anything like that. Try and be specific though. Just kind of vague stuff like you're too negative is hard to take action on, because I'm like, well, what specifically was negative that provoked that response? Without something specific, it's hard to make a correction. It's like, it just just need to be more specific and be like, this specific thing needs adjustment in this specific way. Just broad, vague advice. It's just hard to work with that. And I'm having a brain fart, which is definitely something that needs improvement. Wow, what a derp moment there. Whatever I was going to say next, we'll just move on to thanking our Patreon supporters, Seldesi and Scott Barker. Thank you very much for your being a patron. And a super special thanks to all the Valve Index GoFundMe donors. Fuck yeah, thank you guys. That wouldn't be possible without y'all. So Nate, Scott Baker, Seldesi is also one. Bit of confusion. I gotta update the name on the Flange here. So yeah, just can't thank you guys enough. There's so much respect to you all, and yeah, there's just so much wouldn't be possible. Like the Valve Index and VR content just wouldn't be possible, and there's so much more coming. Like we're only just getting started with all of Intoxicus Flanging here. Oh yes, before we move on, just gotta mention too, the Valve Index GoFundMe is still open. Very financially stressful to even pull this off and make it happen. So any more donations, etc., much appreciated. You'll get your name up here. If you just need to let me know what name you want posted, if you want your like real name or like a Twitter name or something like that. So just, I just need prior consent to put your name up there is all. And having a brain fart again on my next thing I was going to say. So yeah, we'll just wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting. Thanks for remembering to bring your towel. Twitch stream is tonight at 5:30 Alberta time. Mountain time zone in North America. I figured why not? We're going to stream Last of Us 2. It's probably going to be a bit oversaturated and stuff, but I want to play it. I'm hyped about it. I don't know if we'll finish the game on stream. I might just play, just do a couple or 3 streams. And it kind of depends on, because I'm trying to make that's the thing I was going to mention. Big push for affiliate right now. We're super close to affiliate, and that's the thing is right now I need to choose my streams, what I'm going to stream based on what will get me the viewership needed to finally get to affiliate. So we might not stream Last of Us for too long, and that might just be a couple days, and then try and calibrate something that'll help me get to affiliate as quickly as possible, because that's super exciting. So that covers it for today. Thanks again for watching and supporting and bringing your towel and all that good stuff. Have a good one. Thank you. Yeah. I just made a mess of that. Bye now.